everyone, and welcome to Ring the Bell. This is a wrestling game show where the points don't matter and the only prize is bragging rights. I'm your host, the Macho Fan, and as always, I will have on 4 wrestling creators, and they will compete in 3 rounds of different debate-style topics, and they'll receive points for making interesting or compelling ideas, and they'll lose points for backtracking or repeating themselves or others. Now, let's meet our contestants. Our first contestant is our resident mainstay, returning to us from the hills of Idaho. He's not at a children's soccer game, but he is here. Please welcome Big Mike.
I am the conscious of the community, the man with the big ideas. I'm back for another day. I'm not going 0-4. I'm winning today. Today's my day.
Big Mike says he's going to be winning it today, but let's just see how much he is going to win. Our next guest, though, he's been ducking us for a few weeks, but he's finally here. He's made famous for his infamous opinions. You know him as Infamous Opinionist. I know him as Jade. Welcome to the show, J-Lo.
What's up, guys? Ryan, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited. I love this format. I'm really excited to get started. Have not been ducking. Life has been ducking me, which has been making me duck you. But I'm glad to finally make it work.
All right, I'm excited to see you ring the bell. And then our next guest, he is our last-minute contender, comes in as a lifesaver from Pennsylvania. He's pushing his content exclusively to YouTube now. Please welcome Smithception.
What's up, everybody? You may know it from TikTok, but yeah, that's a thing of the past now. Sorry.
All right, that's a thing of the past, but YouTube is the future. Speaking of the future and the past, he's the OG of wrestling TikTok. He is known for his wrestling reactions, his drafts. You know him from everything. If we've done it, he started it. It is the one, it's Narcolepsy Boy 94. Please welcome Malik Kelly.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited. I've never been a part of one of these little game show type things, so I'm interested to see how this goes.
All right, well, I'm excited to actually pop one of your cherries because you popped all of ours. Now, let's get into it. The first round, each guest is going to have 30 seconds to respond to 3 different wrestling headlines. Are our contestants ready?
Bring it on!
All right, I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. And now let me pull up our first topic. All right, we saw the return this week at Extreme Rules. We saw what happened on Smackdown Friday night, and now we know the Wyatt 6 is Smackdown bound. So I want to start with you guys. Let's start with Smithception. Smithception, how did we like Bray Wyatt's return to WWE?
I think we liked it a lot. I think Bray Wyatt is now, especially under the Vince creative, is now going to be potentially the biggest name in wrestling currently. He could probably be to WWE right now what CM Punk was to AEW in 2021 with his return then. Everything else after that withholding. So yeah, I'm really excited for this character. The way things are looking, it's looking like it's going to be some kind of split personality type gimmick as opposed to a faction. And if that's the case, I am here for it because as much as I love factions, I don't think a faction would work for this specifically.
All right, good points there. Let's move over to Malik. You have 30 seconds and your time starts now.
I think all of us liked his return a lot. We were anticipating his return, and the thing that excites me the most is that we really don't know what's coming next. We don't know if this is a faction. We don't know if this is multiple split personalities. Like Bray Wyatt's creative mind is so interesting, especially when he plays his character work. We saw how great the Eater of Worlds was, and then he had to reinvent himself to the Fiend. That was probably better than the Eater of Worlds. Now he might have something better than those two. So it's like to think of the process of thinking like he could have something coming better than what he had previously before is exciting. And he probably could be the most dangerous man in WWE, not only from a creative aspect, but as far as a superstar.
All right. I like those points there. He could be very dangerous. All right, Big Mike, we're going to move to you. 30 seconds.
I got to go with the other guys here. Yeah, I'm absolutely all about this. I loved it. And here's the thing. I think we may have 6 different versions of Bray Wyatt by the time this is done. I think that there's not going to be anybody in this faction. I think they're going to try to do something big here with the focal point around the Bray we saw last night. If you look at everybody else that's ever been successful, The Rock, Austin, they've always had a moment where they let people in personally. Last night was our opportunity to get in to the Wyndham and Rotunda family, and that's where I think he's going.
All right, Infamous Opinionist. Jay, let's hear it.
I think that it was a really well done debut. It was one of the more well done debuts in WWE recent memory. I think the most important thing about Bray Wyatt coming back is just looking at all of the conversation he's already starting, and he hasn't even stepped foot in the ring yet to wrestle, right? All this talk, we're already, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is there 6 different people, or is it Bray Wyatt playing 6 different characters? Is Bray Wyatt even really the man in the mask, or is that somebody else entirely? And he hasn't even wrestled yet. This is why Bray Wyatt being back is so good for wrestling. He generates so much buzz.
Right. That buzz is buzzing for sure. And it's not just mercy. All right. Let's get into our next topic. All right. We are going to be going over the new recruitment that WWE has announced as soon as it pops up here on our screen. So as you guys see, WWE is doing Campus Rush, which is their new recruitment where they're going to Division I schools to find the newest WWE superstars. We are looking at this list right now. I'm going to give you guys a second while I touch it over. But WWE bringing in new college athletes. How are we feeling about that? We're going to start with Big Mike.
I'm buying it. This has been happening for a long time. If you know anything about Gerald Briscoe regularly goes to the NCAA wrestling tournament in March to recruit. That's how they've been doing it for a long, long time. This is just more of of almost a publicity thing, trying to get back to when college kids and frat boys used to watch Monday nights and have parties. I think it's to build the energy. Plus, I think they're going to get some really good athletes. And keep in mind, with NCAA's NIL deals now, there's some real good opportunities for some of these athletes to make NIL deals from WWE.
All right, infamous opinionist. Let's jump over to you. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think 2 things here for me. Number one, it's a winning formula. You think about the list of stars that have come from college athletics: Ron Simmons, The Rock, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Brock Lesnar, Big E, just to name a few. And then secondly, for me, anything to stick it to these colleges is fine in my book, because these colleges make it so difficult for these athletes to go out, create their own opportunities, make their own money for these schools. It's all about the brand and all about the school. So any way for these college athletes to get their own kind of hype is perfectly fine by me.
All right, Smithception, 30 seconds to you.
Okay, so I think Triple H more than anything is going to be smarter about this than probably Vince McMahon was. Not that Vince couldn't be smart about things in the past, as with all the names that were mentioned, but Vince trying to do things like make Gable Steveson, whose name nobody can even pronounce correctly, a big thing, and then for him to just be completely forgotten about because, again, no one cared about him in the first place. I don't think anything of the sort is going to happen like that. I think Vince is going to be really smart about this, and I think we could see potentially a new OVW4 with maybe one of those 4 being a college guy. I'm here for it.
All right, and then let's move over to Malik with our final opinion for this topic. Malik, 30 seconds is to you right now.
This is a good way for WWE to continue to expand. You see basketball, college, colleges do it every year when they expand for recruits and athletes. WWE's now doing it. They've been doing it for years, honestly, too. Like I said, with Brock Lesnar and Bianca Belair, it's just now maybe becoming more of a global thing. WWE continues to expand and get bigger, and Triple H being in charge now with creative, I think, they're going to start stacking up the talent crazy down in NXT and crazy for the future. I mean, the future is so bright more than ever now for WWE than it's been in a long time. So I think it's exciting for these college athletes to get an opportunity to maybe expand into something that they maybe didn't even know they wanted to do.
All right, great. Right on the timer there, too. Great job, everybody. All right, now we're going to move to our final topic of round 1. And that topic is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson has been showing up everywhere except the WWE. And he has acknowledged that Roman Reigns maybe is the head of the table and he's taken those back. Are we expecting The Rock to show up at WrestleMania, or how are we feeling about The Rock in the WWE? Let's stick with Malik. Malik, you got 30 seconds.
I believe 100% this match is going to happen at WrestleMania. I mean, I think The Rock knows how big this is. I think everybody in WWE knows how big this is. And I feel like he knows that he probably has one match left in his career. And the only match people really want to see is the one against Roman, because Roman has built himself up to be the biggest guy in the company. So this is the big money match. The same reason when Rock came back and fought Cena 10 years ago at WrestleMania. This is the match that everybody wants for WrestleMania pretty much next year, especially with Hollywood being, and it's just, I believe the match will happen. I don't know when The Rock will show up, but I think it's going to happen.
All right, let's move over to Big Mike. 30 seconds. What's your thoughts on The Rock?
You know, when The Rock signed on to do the Fast and the Furious movies, he had a contract in there that said he couldn't get a hit a certain amount of times by the other co-stars. Why is that important? Because he doesn't want to look weak. The only way this match happens for WWE is if they put Roman over. With Black Adam and everything else going on in The Rock's life, the XFL, maybe political things down the road, I don't think he jobs to him. I think he's going to try to move out of this. He wants to be in a more business professional area, and I think he's stacking capital to buy the WWE. Mark it down.
Ooh, interesting thoughts there. Smithception. 30 seconds, but give me 2 seconds here just to remove that pin. All right, 30 seconds, Smithception, to you.
The only way a match between The Rock and Roman at, say, a WrestleMania, because that's probably where it's going to happen if it does, works is if it's not for a championship. If you do it for a championship, whether it's his WWE or Universal, it kills the feud because we're all anticipating Roman to go over because of just how strong they're building him. Like, they're not going to do it to The Rock and make that mistake again. So I wouldn't want to see it for that reason. And again, back to the contracts thing, who knows if he would even be allowed to do it. And I think these ventures that he's doing outside of the WWE are great.
All right. And then finally, Infamous Opinionist.
I want to lead with the fact that leading up to last WrestleMania, we all thought that it was going to be Rock versus Roman at last WrestleMania, and we got Roman versus Brock instead. That being said, I do think it will be Roman versus Rock at this WrestleMania. I don't know what else they could do for him at this WrestleMania. I really can't see anything else happening. And I think with all this stuff The Rock is doing away from wrestling, it sets up the story very, very nicely, because The Rock could come in and say, while you've been here strictly focusing on wrestling, look at what I've done. I've dominated the world. I've dominated not just sports entertainment, but entertainment in general. And that makes me the true head of the table. So I think we have a nice story set up when he comes back too.
All right, and that is the end of round one. We're going to do a quick recap of the scores, and we have a three-way tie for second place, and only one person is ahead of the pack, and that is Infamous Opinionist with 10 points. Everyone else is tied with 9 points at the end of round one. So it is a very close one right here. But before we get into any other rounds here, I do have to do a quick ad break. And that's right, G Fuel has a buy one, get one on the starter pack. So if you have ever wanted to try G Fuel, now is the time. You can buy one and get one free on each of these starter packs you see on my screen right now. You have an individual wrapped G Fuel, so you can try each flavor up to 10 flavors for the price of one. And if you want even more bonus, you can use the code TheMachoFan right here, and you can get an added discount. And stay tuned, because we got round two coming right now.
Are you a fan of WWE, AEW, or just wrestling in general? Are you a fan of sports, gaming, or just trying to find somewhere to vibe? You gotta join Keepers Kayfabia, the Discord community that hosts the NGT promo battle community. If you want to know more about that, check this out.
Tally ho, everyone. NGT is home to some of the best promo artists this century.
Under the great banner of NGT and Hugs himself, we all invite you to come join us and do some promoing.
Yeah, go to war with us, boy.
Come fight with us.
Even if you want to just have fun and play some games with us.
Come and sail the 7 seas with me.
Maybe you feel the need to shoot to kill.
Or if you just want to put a smile on people's faces.
So, whether you want to compete, lion, I'm a tiger. I'm a lion. I'm a tiger. Or you just want to enjoy yourself. See, there's always something to do in NGT.
What the hell are you doing?
We're streaking.
Wow, that's no good. So get off your pathetic ass and join the Discord.
Whether you want to see the light
or embrace your darkness.
And make sure to join us at the NGT Discord. You'll find that most of the time the link is in most of our competitors and members' bios. Well, if you want to have some fun.
Or if you want to prove why you are the best since day one.
Where you can challenge some of the greats and legends. Or you can just mark out for them.
Because we've been here the whole time.
Welcome back to Ring the Bell. We are in our second round, and let's bring back our wonderful guests for the day. So please welcome with us Infamous Opinions, Malik, Big Mike, and Smithception. All right, now we are in round 2. We're gonna do a quick refresher on our scores. We have a 3-way tie for second place with 9 points between Big Mike, Smithception, and Malik. And then Infamous Opinionist Jade is winning with 10 at this point. And now we're gonna buy or sell matches. All right, now we got about 5 or 6 matches here we're gonna buy and sell in round 2. Now in round 2, you will choose whether you want to buy or sell either one of the matches or storylines. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start, since we have a 3-way tie, we're going to start with Smithception for this one. So Smithception, our first buying or selling is Bully Ray, winning the Bound for Glory Call Your Shot Rumble, but he wants to do this one right. How are we feeling about Bully Ray pushing himself again in the Impact Arena?
Knowing Bully Ray and how he likes to talk about how he books his own feuds or is involved in his own feuds, he doesn't like doing things unless there's a reason for it. And I think this reason is to establish Josh Alexander as a great Impact World Champion and as one of Impact's top guys, potentially of their entire history. So if that's the case, sure. I don't think Bully Ray would be the type of person to be too much of a mark for himself to just take it off of Josh Alexander and have another legacy run. So I'm buying this 100%.
All right. I like the points you brought up there. All right, let's move over to Malik. Malik, you got 30 seconds. How are we feeling about Bubba or Bully Ray?
I don't really know if I buy it. I mean, Bully Ray isn't like the same Bully Ray that I saw when he was in Impact, 10 years ago. I mean, Josh Alexander's a solid champion right now, so maybe he wins and puts Josh Alexander over. It could be good for Josh Alexander. But I mean, as far as Bully Ray winning the Bound for Glory, it's I don't really know, man. At this stage in his career, not saying he still can't go, not saying it's still not believable, but is it something that I would want to see, or is it something that even most of the fans would want to see? I would probably say no.
All right. Perfect timing on that one. Let's move over to Big Mike. 30 seconds. How are we feeling?
I'm selling it 100% because if you're bringing him in just to put over Josh Alexander, I think there's a lot of better options out there right now, especially with Control Your Narrative going down. EC3 coming in and doing this would set up a legit feud, not just some old superstar who's coming to put somebody over. I get the sentiment. I like Bully Ray. It's past his time. Bring somebody else in. Let Josh Alexander establish him the right way. Bring in somebody like EC3 and do it right.
All right. Interesting points there. How are we feeling, Jade? You're muted.
He's on mute.
You're muted, buddy.
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Sorry, I'm selling this
Hang on, let me reset the timer for you on that one.
like merch at a wrestling show. No, you're good. You're good. That was my fault. There are so many ways you can make Josh Alexander look like a good champion. Bringing in someone who is more of a podcaster than a wrestler at this point, I don't think makes Josh Alexander look any better as a champion. And when people say that, when Smith says specifically that he doesn't believe Bully would be a mark for himself, he just went on his podcast and called himself the greatest promo artist of all time. If that's not being a mark for yourself, I don't know what is. And this also just feels like Impact taking 10 steps backward to what TNA used to be. There's just nothing I can buy about this at all.
All right, good points there. I do like that marking for yourself aspect, because with his radio show, he kind of talks a little bit too much in my opinion. All right, and speaking of talking too much, we're seeing much more talking in the WWE segments, and then we saw Judgment Day find their maybe new feuding partners in the Bullet Club, or the original club if we want to go by WWE terminology. And with that, we are seeing more factions in the WWE. How are we feeling about Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson joining AJ, or more factions in the WWE? Are we buying or selling? Let's start with Jade, since we're already there.
So I am buying, but there is a contingency to this buy. I am buying as long as every faction that you're creating has something to do. Whereas opposed to AEW, you see new factions pop up all the time that are doing nothing. That they join up as a group, and then they just sit down and watch everything that's going down. As long as these wrestlers that are joining these factions then equates to them doing more on television, I'm 100% down for it. And I like all of the factions they've created so far.
All right, let's jump over to Malik. Malik, you got 30 seconds.
I'm gonna buy it only because Triple H is running the show now. I mean, Triple H honestly might be Jesus at this point with all these comebacks that he's creating. I mean, he got Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows to come back to WWE, and Carl Anderson didn't have the best thing to say about WWE when he left. So the fact that he was able to convince them to come back and be with AJ Styles, to be with the OC again, I think it'll be booked better than it was the first time. I don't think it'll be shit again. And I like it. I like the aspect. They seem happy. Everybody's kind of creatively doing something. Like ever since Triple H has been in charge, the product has increasingly got better. So I'm buying it.
All right, good. You have been right on the timer, right? All day today. All right, Big Mike, let's jump on that WWE bandwagon. How are we feeling about factions or the Bullet Club?
I'm selling 100%. And here's why I'm selling Gallows and Anderson. When WWE was the most successful was right at the beginning of the Attitude Era, when they were building new stars, which they have the ability to do. They could have done anything else. They have 100 other teams they could have done this with. Factions are only good, like was said, if they have a purpose. When Evolution was around, it was the only one around, but it had a purpose. And so I just don't like factions for factions, and I really don't like this OG club. I'm selling.
All right, I love the passion there. But Smithception, let's finish this off. 30 seconds.
Okay, so knowing how Triple H has done things like the Undisputed Era, he wouldn't just do factions for factions, and he wouldn't just do shit for the sake of doing shit. And we know that he's got a better mind for this. And here's the thing that nobody's talking about. Carl Anderson is currently the Never Openweight Championship, meaning that they are openly letting a New Japan guy on AEW television, much like they did with letting Mickie James come out with the Knockouts Championship. So if this means a forbidden door on a greater scale, I think that that's the aspect of this that we really need to be like paying attention to. And I think that's where the potential is for what this means.
All right. Excellent points there. Yeah, that New Japan opening of the door is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out in the future. But speaking of the future, we got an element of the future versus the past this past week at Extreme Rules when Beth Phoenix came out to save Rhea Ripley or save Edge, and Rhea Ripley gave her the concerto. So we're not going to see Beth Phoenix for a while, it seems like, but it looks like they are setting the stage for Rhea versus Beth. And we did see Ronda Rousey speak earlier this week how there's no women's storylines outside of the championship titles. How are we feeling about WWE's treatment of WWE women wrestling right now? Are we buying or selling? Let's start with Big Mike. 30 seconds.
I am selling as of October 15th, 2022. But if you remember who brought the women's only pay-per-view, that was Steph. I think they're going to move back into the direction they wanted to originally when they did the pay-per-view, the all-women's pay-per-view. I think it got derailed, Vince and some of the other higher-ups. I think they're going to go that way. Ronda's absolutely right, though. There's no storylines outside of the championships, and even the championships on that matter don't really mean that much, do they? I'm selling the women's division right now.
All right, let's bounce over to Smithception. 30 seconds.
I could buy or sell this purely because what good women's storylines there are, like that all can really be carried by like how great the wrestlers are. If you ask me, I really think that under the Triple H creative, these stories could actually be good depending on what they do with Charlotte Flair when she comes back, because that's also a factor. That's also a thing we have to take into consideration. But generally speaking, I feel like if this Beth Phoenix and Rhea Ripley thing is going to take off the way that some people speculate that it will, then I think that this revolution or so that they started in 2014 is just going to keep going.
All right, and let's jump over to Jade.
So I am buying, but I'm buying low, meaning that I think the women's division in WWE is not in the best shape right now, but I have very high hopes that it will be in great shape, because you got to remember, as was referenced, the division is missing Charlotte Flair. Right now it's also missing Becky Lynch, who was set to be one of their top baby faces, and now she's not there. And I have a lot of faith that Triple H and Stephanie are going to turn the women's division around. If Vince was still in charge, I might be in DEFCON mode right now. But since Vince is not in charge, I have a lot of faith that they're going to turn it around very quickly. So I'm buying low.
All right. And Malik, to finish off this topic, 30 seconds.
I think Ronda Rousey's right. They definitely need more storylines outside of the championships, which I've been saying for a while too. But I'm also going to buy just because, once again, I trust Triple H's booking. If you saw NXT Women's Division at one point, they had the best women's division at one point, dominating in all companies. If you ask me, from like 2018 to 2019, their women's division was stacked. Everybody was involved in doing something they all felt important. I think they're slowly starting to build that up right now as we continue to go. And I definitely think we'll start seeing more women's storylines outside of the championship for the future. So I'm definitely going to buy low, like Jay.
All right, we are buying a little bit, it sounds like. And speaking of the women's division, we are going to keep it in that division, but jump to a different brand. We're going to jump over to AEW. And Jamie Hayter is over from every crowd we've seen. Everybody seems to love Jamie Hayter, with Britt Baker, without Britt Baker. It doesn't matter. Are we buying Jamie Hayter's push, or are we selling Jamie Hayter? 30 seconds. We're going to start with, let's start with Malik since I'm already there. Malik, go ahead.
I like her, but Tony Khan hasn't really shown that he's pushed the women's division a lot lately, like, or ever. Like, the only women's that he's ever pushed is Jade Cargill and Britt Baker. Other than that, they haven't really had any good storylines outside of any women's that I can think of on the top of my head. So I like Jamie Hayter. Will they push her? I don't really think so, honestly. I mean, they could possibly in the future, but I don't really see it. Like I said, Tony Khan has only shown me that he's only pushed two women that he's really cared about for AEW. That's Jerry Cargill and Britt Baker. I haven't seen anything else or any progress in the women's division, and they have a lot of great talent in that division, but they haven't shown that they've cared much about that division. So I'm going to sell.
All right, Smithception, we're going to jump over to you. 30 seconds. Jamie Hayter.
I am buying Jamie Hayter's ability to get herself over as a babyface, and that's it. Because of what was said about Tony Khan and his booking, and how we all know that's been the biggest thorn in AEW side. We don't need to keep going on about that. As somebody who was at the Leah Core Center on Temple University and saw for Rampage, I think it was, Jamie Hayter be over as hell and having a lot of people cheer for her in her match against Willow Nightingale, it could happen. Now, this would take a good storyline with Britt Baker, but again, that's why I buy her ability to get herself over alone.
All right, and we're going to bounce to Jade. Jade, how do you feel about our girl Jamie Hayter? 30 seconds.
Listen, I think this is going to be a clean sweep, Brian, because I'm buying Jamie Hayter, but I'm selling AEW and Tony Khan doing anything successful with her. Because for every Jamie Hayter story, you have Ty Conti acting like an idiot. For every Britt Baker story, you have the bunny running around the ring, not doing much at all. For every Jade Cargill, you have Abaddon, who features once every 6 weeks and does nothing as popular as she is. So I am buying Jamie Hayter. I believe in her. I don't believe in AEW.
Oh, man, his opinions are infamous. I do not like the Abaddon slander, but we have to go through with it. All right, Big Mike, how are we feeling? Let's finish this off.
I'm buying 100%, no contingencies. I'm buying, and here's why. Nobody's mentioned it. This division was without a leader, a locker room leader, before 2 weeks ago. And that's when Soraya, Paige. It's when Paige came back. I think with Paige there as the kind of figurehead and the leader, what this does is it sets Hayter up to be the face, to be that Wendy Richter that went against Moolah all those years ago. They didn't have a certifiable face. I'm buying this.
All right, interesting there. All right, speaking of buying this, how are we buying or selling the Mox versus Hangman match coming up? I mean, Hangman probably gave the best promo of his life on Wednesday. Mox is getting reined in by AEW. Can't do any more GCW shows, but they also brought in his wife. So how are we buying or selling Mox versus Hangman? Let's start with Jade. We're gonna start with you. 30 seconds.
I mean, I'm absolutely buying Mox versus Hangman. The build-up, the promos, the match are all going to be excellent. I was really confused during the promo how they had this awesome promo battle going on in the ring between these two, and yet for whatever reason they turned a spotlight on MJF, and everyone's heads went like that. So I don't get AEW's presentation sometimes. If you have something excellent happening, just let it unfold. But in the end, I think Mox and Hangman have too much charisma, too much talent, and too much synergy to let this fail. So I'm buying.
All right, Smithception, we're going to bounce over to you. 30 seconds on the clock.
I'm buying the story and the spectacle. I'm not buying the contest. And I'm not buying the contest because we all know damn well that Jon Moxley is the top guy in AEW. And it is like basically not even an opinion, especially now with CM Punk's status in the air. So because of that, we all know this is just setting up for either Mox and MJF, or potentially they do something with Mox and MJF and Hangman in a triple threat, which because AEW doesn't always do a lot of triple threats, I think could be a golden booking opportunity. So again, buying the spectacle, not buying the finish.
All right, interesting. All right, and then Malik, 30 seconds to you.
Well, I will be there next week for this match, so I'm excited for it. I buy the storyline build up for it, but at the end of the day, we all know MJF is going to be the champion. That's why they put the spotlight on him. They're basically just telling us like, hey, Jon Moxley's our top guy right now. Hangman Adam Page, a lot of people are still iffy about him because some people were sold on him, and then after his World Championship run, some people kind of like, we don't know how we feel about him now. But overall, I think it's just all for a setup, just for MJF. This whole thing is just for MJF. If you ask me, eventually he's going to be the champion, and it just is what it is. Which he should be the champion too, by the way.
Okay, perfect. We're thinking it's going to be a push for MJF, but first we got to hear what Big Mike has to say. Hopefully no Werther's in his mouth. How we feeling, Big Mike?
Yeah, listen, I'm buying this and I'm selling at the same time. I'm doing both, and here's how. I'm buying it, like Malik said, if it's to push MJF. If you have him do kind of either a triple threat or you have him beat Mox and Page on the same night like Daniel Bryan did, you kind of can stir up those emotions. If it's not for that, I'm selling it. What's the point? There's so many other people on the roster. It's bad booking. I just don't like it. But if it is for MJF, I will buy it.
Okay, all right. Seems like MJF is the fan favorite, even though I don't know if he wants to be. And now we're going to our final topic of round 2. This is the last buying or selling, but we are seeing more wrestlers appear in TV shows. Mercedes Varnado is in the new Star Wars show. Edge just got cast in the new God of War movie. We see Anthony Bowen's cast in his new movie. Are we buying or selling wrestlers in the movies as actors? We're going to start with, let me check the scores here. Who needs it the most? We're going to start with Big Mike. Big Mike, start with you.
I'm buying this. I've said for years now that I think wrestlers are some of the best actors on the planet. And I know that's funny to hear, but here's why. These guys go out there and routinely, unless you're Sid Vicious, do promos live, one take. They don't ask for a retake. They can't, right? They get in the match. They do all this stuff. They do their own stunts. I'm buying it. They don't have to be the world's greatest actor to be in an action movie. Kane did a great job. I'm absolutely buying this, and I love the fact that wrestlers are getting more attention.
All right, and let's move over to Smithception. 30 seconds.
Not only do I think that this is an absolute buy, I think that it shouldn't even be an opinion to sell, because all publicity is good publicity. Even if a top name of a company stars in a terrible movie, that is still publicity that they would have never gotten otherwise to a mainstream audience. If the goal is for wrestling to draw, let them have these opportunities whenever they can get them, whether it's Sasha Banks, Mercedes, and The Mandalorian, or Anthony Bowens doing the thing that he's doing. If the wrestler to Hollywood pipeline that was started with The Rock and continued with Cena is what's good for business for wrestlers in the long run, do it.
All right. And Malik, 30 seconds.
It's definitely a buy. I mean, The Rock has paved the way for everybody to kind of pave the way into Hollywood and succeed. I mean, when The Rock left WWE, he was at the top of his game. He took big risks and he became the biggest star in Hollywood. He came back to the WWE to set up a thing with John Cena, and they had the biggest box office match in WrestleMania history as far as pay-per-view buys. The Rock come back next year, face Roman Reigns. That's probably going to break even more records because The Rock's involved in it. So it gets more publicity for WWE. It makes the company more money, and it also gives the superstars an option to do something outside of WWE when they're done wrestling.
Yeah, that is probably the main goal, right? And then lastly, for the last topic of the conversation for round 2, Jade, 30 seconds to you.
Yeah, listen, I'm buying, absolutely. I think gone are the days of Roddy Piper kicking ass and chewing bubble gum. Gone are the days of wrestlers being super awkward, corny, and cheesy in Rocky movies. I think these days, if you're putting these wrestlers in these movies, they've probably done some sort of audition with someone. They've done a table read. They've proven they can do this character that they are portraying. I don't think that you're just bringing in wrestlers to say that you have a wrestler in a movie anymore. I think these wrestlers that are going in as respected actors now. So I definitely buy it.
All right, good points there. Good points there. And that was the end of round 2. And so let's see who is going into our video showdown. Oh my god, I think this is the closest it has ever been. Coming in second place and going to our video showdown is Infamous Opinionist with 23 points. And then coming in first place with 24 points, Malik Kelly. And then it was an absolute tie for third place, Smithception and Big Mike with 22 points. And so just missed out there. I do know what lost you both points there throughout the show was you both sat on the fence for a couple of those, which was, I know, the only time that we really lost some points there. So sometimes we do have to take a side, and taking a side right now is going to be Malik and Infamous Opinionist in the showdown round. Now, round 3 is going to be a showdown between the top 2, and each contestant will watch a video from the week and respond to it. But before they do that, we're going to jump into a quick break. So stay tuned, because I found out that Miro and CJ, they joined G Fuel. Everybody to ring the bell. This is round 3, the video showdown between our top 2 contestants. Our number 1 contestant was Malik Kelly, Narcolepsy Boy 94 with a whopping 24 points. And our second place was Infamous Opinionist J Lo with 23 points. And in our backstage interview, we found out that Malik wants video B for being in first place. So Infamous Opinionist, you're going to be with video A. Let me get that video up. You'll have 90 seconds to respond to this short clip, which is about 7 seconds long. So you'll have plenty of time to talk about it. Now let me get your video.
This Carter keeps getting power bombed, dog.
Ouch, ouch, and more ouch. 90 seconds. Jay, to you.
I mean, listen, there's 2 obvious points here. Number 1, that poor guy, like, indie wrestlers put their bodies on the line more than almost maybe any other profession in the world, right? Because any other profession that you go in where it's designed to be dangerous, you have all of this gear protecting you. You have all these policies protecting you. You're guaranteed your paycheck at the end of the day, right? Independent wrestling, you go in and you do stuff like that for a tank of gas, a pretzel, and a Coke. And then you go home. Like, indie wrestlers are some of the most dedicated performers in the world. Item number 2, isn't that just what indie wrestling is all about? Just those moments. I mean, you see Gunther do a repeat powerbomb on TV, right? And it looks rough, but it doesn't look nearly as intense as that. And so when you go to these indie shows, you're hoping for these recordable moments. You're hoping to be there live for these moments that when you watch it live in the moment, you know that's going to be on TikTok when I wake up tomorrow, or that's going to be getting shared on Twitter by the time I get home. And if I had been there live and I had seen that, that is a moment that I would have known. I would know in my heart that's going to be on TikTok when I get home. So I just love how social media has become this new platform for these indie wrestlers to get their faces out there. Overall, just a really, really awesome video.
It is awesome in the sense of the brutality of it. Luckily that I believe I saw an update that wrestler was okay. So if anyone is worried, he is okay. Just a minor bumps and bruises. But man, it is brutal. All right. And so Malik, we're going to go to your video. All right. 90 seconds. Malik, how are we feeling about Eve Marie?
Well, first thing is first, I think people need to relax, okay? one thing, we don't even know if she even made the shot technically, so we don't know if the shot even went in or not. Secondly, I highly doubt Eva Marie is the witch or whatever people want to call it. I mean, could she be coming back to WWE? Maybe. I don't know. I know she was never really the best when she was there. I mean, she did some stuff like with Evolution down in NXT for a little bit. That wasn't too bad. But as far as main roster stuff, she never did much where I felt like a lot of people were just impressed with her. I can understand that. But I mean, I know a lot of people were freaking out about, this whole thing. I think she's just trolling. She's trolling. She's trying to get everybody talking. She's trying to get everybody. It's kind of like everybody's trolling about this stuff. Grayson Waller did something on Twitter the other day trolling when people thought he was the buzzard. Everybody's got something to say about this. You know what I mean? So I don't think she's going to be involved with Bray Wyatt somehow, some aspect. Like I said, maybe her WWE return is coming. Maybe that she's trying to tease that, hey, I could be coming back. Maybe. I don't know for sure. I don't know. But as far as the whole thing with Bray Wyatt, I think people need to relax. I've seen some people make so many videos on TikTok freaking out about this, like, oh my gosh, like, please don't be the witch, or please don't be Sister Abigail. Relax, chill out, guys. Oh my gosh, it's a troll. She's trolling. She wants to get people to react to it, get people to talk about it. I highly doubt she's the witch or whatever people want to call it. So I doubt she's involved with that some aspect. So it is what it is. It's just a video. I think people are just having fun with this whole Bray Wyatt stuff because people are having so many speculations and opinions about who's this and who that is. So it's all just for fun.
All right, good points there. I like the subtleties of it. We don't see her make the shot, so we actually don't know. But what we do know is who the winner of the game show is. Well, I do. The audience who's been viewing this knows, but let's figure out. Oh, it is a 1-point game. It seems to be always a 1-point game, but let's get our post-production drum roll, please. All right, and the winner of Ring the Bell episode 4. Infamous Opinionist with 29 points, just beat our resident OG Narcolepsy Boy 94 by 1 point, 28 points Malik to 29 points Infamous Opinionist. So thank you guys for joining us. Remember, the points don't matter, but what does matter is the bragging rights, which is what Infamous Opinionist gets for winning this show. So Jade, you got 2 minutes and the rest of the time it's all yours.
I'm gonna revel in this because I have been on countless Jeopardies, debate shows, etc. with Malik. This is the first time I've ever won. I'm gonna take a photo of this picture of me and Ryan right now that I see on my screen. I'm gonna put a photo of it on my wall because this is the first and maybe only time I ever beat Malik. I am really excited to have won because I love this format, Ryan, that you put together, and I wanted to be on the show even if I had came in last. I was going to be excited to be on it. But I have mad respect for all the guys that were on this show. So just the fact that I was able to be on here with them and talk some wrestling and debate was really, really fun. I'm going to use my last minute to say this. I'm going to talk directly to Triple H. Triple H, you're doing a lot of good stuff, man. You got Bray Wyatt and brought the OC back, bring back Bailey. Damage Control's really cool. Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley's going to kick ass. All that's fine. Where is Dolph Ziggler? Where is he? You're hiding him somewhere. And I know he's there because for the last month before you took over, he was doing stuff with Austin Theory and he was a babyface and I was really jacked. Now he's gone. Where is Dolph Ziggler? I want Dolph Ziggler back on my TV screen now. To me, Triple H could do everything perfect. Everything perfect. But if Dolph Ziggler doesn't end up back on my TV screen, I'm going to be really, really disappointed. And I had to throw that out there. And by the way, Malik wanted to take away my Eva spot from me. I've got 15 seconds left. So help me God. If Eva Marie comes back into Wyatt 6 and Dolph Ziggler is not on my TV screen, Triple H, so help you. So help you. That is all I'm going to say because my time is up.